Hello, in this video we're taking a detailed look at exactly why exposure therapy does not work for driving anxiety. I'm going to explain why, if you've been to see a CBT practitioner, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, or any kind of doctor or expert or whatever, I'm going to tell you the one thing that they always get wrong when it comes to exposure therapy. So my name's Paul and I work online with people all over the world to help them overcome their fear of driving. I'm both a therapist and I've been a driving instructor for over 20 years and have taught over 1,000 people to drive. So unlike other experts who have never even been in a car with someone having a panic attack, I've been there and seen it hundreds of times over 20 years. So let's have a look at what exposure therapy is. It can also be known as a fear ladder, and it's got many other terms. The official technical term is systematic desensitization, which simply means, let's go over what this is. It's when you gradually expose yourself to a situation, with the idea being that the fear will go if you gradually step into the situation a bit more and a bit more and a bit more each day. So with driving anxiety, this is what you'll often be told to do. They'll tell you to go out one day and just to stand at the side of the road and watch cars passing by, and then go home and write about it in a journal. And then the next day, go out, and this time, let's say you've got a fear of driving over bridges, which is quite common. They might say, I want to go and stand so you can see a bridge in the distance, and then go home and write in your journal how you felt about it. And on day 3, I want you to walk up to the bridge and stand so you're just about going to touch it, but not quite, and then go home and write in the journal about it. All of this stuff is absolute rubbish. Journaling does nothing. Slowly walking up to a bridge will do nothing, and I'll explain why in a moment. What I do is totally different, because all of my work is done online. There is no need for you to go out and gradually stand by a bridge each day. You don't need to write in a journal each day. You don't need to keep a diary. You don't need to listen to MP3 tracks. None of that stuff does anything, because all it means is one thing. They're not fixing the problem in the session as they should. Now what happens with me is I will often work with people and then I'll say to them, I want you to go out driving. And they'll say, well, I felt great for about 10 minutes, but then I started to panic. And I'll say, okay, well, I want you to go out the next day and drive a bit more. And they say, well, hold on a minute, you said that this exposure therapy doesn't work, and you said you don't need to keep driving a bit more and a bit more. There is one key difference with what I've done to what other people do, and here is what that is. What we've done is gone back into your past, cleared the problem out. So we've gone and fixed the problem, then you go out driving. But contrary to popular belief, most people don't just go through therapy and then the problem instantly goes overnight. That does not happen, because there is something that does happen called processing. Processing is simply when your mind is changing. There are these things that are called neural pathways. Think of them like roads, which is a bit ironic seeing as we're talking about driving anxiety, but you've got these little things in your head which are like roads, and think of it like it's a common path that all the things in your head take. So every day when you go out driving, you start to experience the same feelings and the same fears and the same anxieties because your mind is following the same path. Now what therapy does is it starts to change those neural pathways. So it's like building new roads. It's a bit like saying you don't need to go down the road of panic. There is another way. You can take the same journey and be calm. But the thing is, it takes a while for these to build up. So you see, you can't expect to just do a session to overcome the fear of driving and then you can go out driving 5 minutes later. Now, for some people, in some cases, that does work, but not for everyone. I recommend, in fact I insist, that my clients wait at least 24 hours after a session before driving, because you need to give your mind a chance to change. And this is the thing that many experts don't understand. People who talk about exposure therapy and they say just go out and push through, and people even say things like just man up and grow a pair and just do it, stop being a wimp. That stuff is never going to work, because you see what people are seeing there is the end result. So the difference is we've removed what was causing it. Then you go out and drive a bit more and a bit more. It's totally unrealistic to think that you may have had a problem for years and you can just fix it overnight and go out driving 300 miles the next day. Now again, for some people that can happen, but for most it takes time to build this up. So the difference is, you see, that with exposure therapy, people are telling you to just go out and just blindly push through the panic, experience it, feel it, go and write in your little journal how you feel. That's not going to do anything, because you haven't yet cleared out the problem from the past, which makes all the difference. Because when you go out driving and do a bit more each day after sessions with me, the difference is you won't have that massive anchor holding you back. We do use the term anchors in therapy, and it's a bit like having a huge anchor tied around your neck, and every time you go out driving you feel like you're not getting anywhere. That's because you've got this massive anchor tied to you. What we do is release the anchor, and then you can go out driving a bit more and a bit more, and that does work. But just doing that on its own won't do anything. And there is one point I always make in these videos about exposure therapy, which is people often say, well, it worked for me, I've done it, I fixed it, I just pushed through and I got rid of it, so you're wrong. No, as I've said in other videos, if you just push through, you have not got rid of the problem, because you've done one of two things. One, you've just hidden it, and yes, it can stay hidden for sometimes years. I've known people hide it for over 10 years, but it will come back because you haven't actually dealt with it properly. And if that isn't the case, what can happen is your mind just thinks, look, I've been trying to tell you something by giving you driving anxiety, but you're clearly not listening to me, so okay, I'll let you drive, but now I'm going to cause other problems, and it may be in the form of sleep problems, relationship problems, weight problems, it can be anything, but the problem has not gone. And if you think that you forced your way through a problem, then I want you to think carefully about other problems that you had start in your life after you did that, and you'll realise that the problem hasn't actually gone, it's just changed into something else. And the reason that happens is when you've got any problem, it's your mind telling you something. It's like the way that pain is a warning that something's wrong. A problem is your mind's way of saying, hey, get this looked at, sort this out. So if you're not going to listen to it when you're driving, it'll just cause other problems until you work on those instead. And if you start gaining weight and you think you're going to get rid of that just by going to the gym and dieting, that stuff does nothing, because weight gain has nothing to do with weight gain. It's a problem showing up that you need to fix. And in the same way that exposing yourself to driving won't work, just eating less food and exercising more will not get rid of your weight problem permanently, because it's just a symptom of another problem, and that is what you really need to deal with. So whether you call it exposure therapy, a fear ladder, systematic desensitization, all of these terms, all it really means is, yes, you can do that, yes, you can take steps and bit by bit expose yourself to the problem, but it only really works once you've got rid of the problem to begin with. Check out these other videos on the screen now for more help with your fear of driving, and if you'd like to work with me, just contact me through my website, firstdrive.com. Check out these other videos on the screen now. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you again soon for more videos.